Barr.
Here.
Hemer.
Here.
Jablonski.
Here.
Shaw.
Here.
Lohr.
Here.
Roth.
Here.
Schilling.
Here.
Council President Augustine Schulte, the roll has been called. Thank you. We have one item on the agenda, presentation by BVH Architecture on the design update for our new community building project. Tara,
Yes.
are you starting?
Sure. So as the agenda item says, BVH is here. Mark Bacon and Matt Smith are here to give you a presentation on all the work that's been happening since November, beginning of November, since the vote passed on this project. So they're going to give you a nice overview of how we've gotten to where we are and all the work that's gone into it over the past several months. So feel free to ask questions as we go along, okay?
Okay, well, it's great to see everyone. Last time we were in this room was when we were interviewing for this great project. So I'm excited to be in front of you this evening to be able to show you the immense amount of progress that we've been able to make. And Rick and Tara and Karen have been great to work with, highly informative, engaged, and bringing in the right people when need be. So it's been a great process so far. And so what we're going to talk about tonight real quick is just do a high-level overview of the floor plan and then also the exterior design review. Okay, so with that, again, my name is Mark Bacon. I'm a principal at BVH Architecture, and I'll turn it over to Matt Smith, who's the project manager from BVH Architecture.
All right, there we go. All right, so like Mark said, we're gonna go over kind of two parts. We'll go over the floor plans, roll through those, and then I'll hand it back over to Mark and he'll go through the exterior design. So if I go the right way. So this is just a little chart. This is how we think, just in kind of a big picture. So we've done all of this, the scribbling and the mess that you see on the left. So, but last time we met at the steering committee, we've made some good progress, and we're at the point now where we can just definitely unveil the exterior design and also the floor plans to date. So we're getting towards that kind of last loop there as we move forward. But so plan review. So everyone knows, buildings on the current site of the library, as well as it kind of extends out onto 25th Street there. And then the parking lot is actually, the future parking lot is actually where City Hall sits. So kind of to orient everything, looking back, you see Frankfurt Square there on the bottom left corner of the screen. So site plan, we've been working on this. I do want to kind of go through. We're really looking at the extents that's in the dashed area, trying to build it into potentially an overall master plan for the downtown with some of the street updates. But really what we're talking about today is everything inside that area. So really looking at how we can make this building really tie in, bring some activity, bring some life, connect it back to obviously what we're shooting for is Frankfurt Square there as well. Really create a hub for the community downtown here. So the building itself is made up of kind of our three main entities: the library, the Children's Museum, as well as City Hall offices. So we'll go through these three fairly quick here. This is looking at the first floor. We have the library on the left. There's an area for a coffee tenant to be able to move in and build out and open up shop. We also have the water offices there in the pink as far as utilities, so people can come in, pay their bills and whatnot. And then the library, and then the Children's Museum on the right. So that orange area you're seeing there is really our center front porch area that Mark will elaborate on as we get further into the discussion tonight, as well as we're kind of indicating kind of a front porch on the exterior as well. So you can see the cars along the back there, along the alley. So we have drop off for the water bills. We have drop off for book return and book pickup, as well as the future coffee shop. So second floor, we go up. The library extends from first to second. We have Arts Council as well. We kind of have a little center front porch we're showing where the library or the arts can use that space for programming uses for whatever events they may be putting on. And then we're also showing the Children's Museum, which is a 2-story space in that kind of X area, but then we have a mezzanine that will overlook that space as well. So we can really get that interaction for all the kids as they are in that space. Third floor, this is where we're showing right now in the yellow, a community room and also the council chambers. So the future home of all of you. We have it set up right now where the yellow is kind of the open area. It's a dividable room. We'll kind of go through some of those options as we go through further into this presentation, but really looking at making this a flexible space that can be really utilized for the city for whatever needs may be there. And then the pink areas you can see are the city hall. So we have open offices, some enclosed offices, as well as some of the other amenity spaces and conferencing for the building itself. And then that orange bar you see is, since we have a kind of a larger area, it's a pre-function space, so before and after events that are utilizing the community room.
I've got
Yep.
a question. We got the community room and the city council on the third floor.
Yes.
To me, that doesn't seem like it'd be very accessible.
Yep. So,
In fact, it's on the third floor.
yep.
Right now, we're here, we're ground level. I guess I'm not too hung up on, hung up on that third floor bed. And so,
Mhm.
anyway, but that's my opinion.
No, and we do have our elevators and access and a central kind of grand staircase that goes through the center of the building as well to make sure we have adequate access. We wanted to really accentuate the views down towards Frankfurt Square and really make this a destination spot for the building. The last thing we wanted was this big kind of 3,000 square foot room that maybe set empty for a majority of the time. So really making it a destination, trying to activate it as much as we can, and trying to prepare for as many uses as it can be. It also has a tie-in, and I can get into that as well. The library has a use for it as well, and it does tie in with the stairs that connect. So I'll hop into that real quick to hopefully answer a little bit more. So this is the first level of library. You can see in the gray here. So this is the stair that's connecting the two floors of the library. It also extends up to that community room. And I'll flip real quick to the second floor. This is where the little kids are going to be as we've gone through programming with Karen and her staff, and really allowing for that accessibility up to the floor, because they do have events where there's like 300 or so kids, and trying to get them up and into the space that they need to be in as soon as possible. So really trying to accent. So that's one of the reasons for the location of that community room. And I'll go back real quick. So you can see the front entry in the orange. We have the access to both the Children's Museum as well as the library right off that front porch area. So you can have access on both sides. The coffee shop is connected. We're looking at how we can operationally have both of those open so you can access it from inside the library, but it also can be shut off. So if operational hours differ, both of them can be open at the same time, or they can be open independently as well. Going up to this second floor, this is kind of the area where we have the teen and youth areas. We have the little ones, the children's areas, as well as what we're calling the business incubator. So computer tech support, everything for the community, heritage room, conference rooms that the community can rent out and utilize, as well as that front porch area that's kind of a flex space. So on the first and second floor, both of those areas can be utilized by whether the Children's Museum, city functions, the library. It's really set up so whatever program is needed there, it can be utilized as much as we can for the building. And then the gray area right here is that centralized library staff. Currently in the old building, they were all kind of scattered apart. So really pulling them in together to make more of a collaborative environment for them, so they can work together and develop programs for the community in a much more efficient manner.
The white area there is open area. That's
Yep.
mezzanine.
So this is a 2-story
wasted space?
2-story area.
It's 2 stories for taller.
Taller
museum
exhibits. Yep. So sometimes they need taller exhibits for what they're putting in there. So we're trying to provide for that.
I don't want to be critical, but I'm just.
No, it's perfect. And then we talked about the community room up there. We are showing different layouts for it. So we're looking at kind of a 200 to 250 person capacity for this space, as well as the city council showing. We'll go through multiple of these, but this is showing kind of that max capacity. We could get even more than that if we do chairs and like the kids sitting on the floor. So we can go higher than 250 in this space per code as well. So we're just showing kind of the seated arrangements that potentially could happen and how it can be set up. We do have it set up. We can have collaborative tables. So tables facing each other. You can have more of like a work session, banquet seating shown with the tables in the round, and then also seminar seating. So that kind of teaching where everyone's at a table and they have similar desks that can be used, and then looking towards one direction. And then also, go ahead.
If we're going to have tables out there, I didn't count them, but there's a bunch of them and 250 chairs and everything. Where are we going to store all that stuff?
Good question. So you can see this kind of jumbled mess. If I can find my mouse. So this is the storage area for all of these. So what we're actually showing is all the tables. They actually flip up and nest, so we save as much space as possible. So we are actually putting in the amount of tables that we're showing here are actually shown here as well. So we have the proper amount of storage for the tables, the banquet tables, and the chairs all together. So that's what that kind of secondary yellow area is there. And then something else we are looking at as well is showing this space being divisible. So there's a partition that will be able to divide the space into two. So if you maybe have two functions that want to activate the space, maybe there's someone who doesn't need quite all the space. You still want to have a council meeting. You can really multi-use and dual use that space. We're trying to make it as flexible as possible so it maintains.
What is the pink space again?
So the pink space there is the council chambers area. So that's more of a permanent space. It is raised up. We're raising it up similar to what you have here, 6 inches, so we can elevate that. We also are looking at adding, we're still working out the furniture arrangement and everything, getting into those details, but adding some sort of curtain divider too. So if you do have a presentation like in this style, you could have a presenter that could present here. We could have a screen that could pop, that could come down, and they could present to that. So you could have still that kind of front stage set up if you so choose.
But then that whole pink space can be divided off with a movable wall. So you could,
Yep.
if you have an event in the community room, that whole pink area could be just a wall.
Closed off. Yep.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we really know that a lot of this equipment, it just is what it is, and it has to sit where it does, but trying to use it as best we can, but also dividing it off so it's secure too. Do also want to point out there is a secure entrance, much like you guys have here, that's towards the back here as well.
If we go into executive session,
Yeah,
Where do we
can
go?
use a conference room over in the city hall portion, which is just down the hallway.
okay.
So where is the elevator in this?
So the elevator, you can see it here. So the elevator we have is right here in the center. So we actually have 2 elevators in the building right now. This one is here. I'll get to the other one here in a second. But we have our main stair that goes up the 3 stories, and then we have the elevator here. So as a council member, you can come up here, you come down a hallway here, and then you're entering into the chambers. General population would come. We have 2 entrances. We're using as light locks here. So if someone gets here late or something, they don't become disruptive when they're trying to sneak in the back. So,
Is there a caterer's kitchen?
yep. So we do have a catering kitchen / teaching kitchen. So we've been working with the library staff as well on this, because they're going to be programming events out of it as well. So it not only will act as a catering kitchen for if someone's renting out the space, but it's also, we're looking at setting up as more of a teaching area as well. So when the library programs or whoever wants to program a space, there's amenities there to do so. flip through these real quick. And then going back down to the first floor. So this is that Children's Museum space. Like we said, we have that 2-story area. So if we have taller exhibits, we can account for that. Also connecting on the 2 floors, this will be like a mezzanine up here. So when I go to the second floor, you'll see that, but providing integral bathrooms. And then there is a second elevator shown right now for transportation of exhibits and whatnot up and down. Delivery of exhibits and will be through the northeast corner here, off to the side. So we show the trucks here, offload, bring them in. You can bring them straight into space, or you can bring them straight into the elevator. There is a shared wood shop as well for the building, as well as for the Children's Museum to utilize shall they need it. So,
How many square feet do we have in the Children's Museum?
so overall, Children's Museum is 10,500 square feet.
Which is the same as the program.
Same as the program. Yep. So, yep. So we have.
That's the mezzanine area also?
Yep. It includes everything. So there's about 8,000 square feet on the first floor, and there's about 2,500 square feet on the second floor. So, and here's the second floor. So you see that mezzanine and then that open to below situation here. As you look down with family restrooms that are independent. So all the restrooms in this are independent. As we're going through security measures for the Children's Museum, just trying to understand how we can make sure everyone is protected as they're in the space. And then hopping up City Hall. So you can see kind of that other half. There's community room with the council chambers. There's access back here. So if you need to dismiss into session, there's conferencing back here to be able to utilize. This is a shared break area for both City Hall staff and library staff. So we're not doubling up with those. So we're using one shared space for both of those entities. And then if there's anyone from the public who's visiting, we do have this entry lobby. So this will be your main. So you come off the elevator. You come off the elevator here and then enter into kind of a secure lobby so we can maintain security before anyone's allowed into the kind of City Hall proper. And then we also are providing 2 open conference rooms here. So if anyone has a meeting set up or someone comes here and wants to talk to anyone, they can come out, greet them, and then actually take them into one of these conference rooms without having to bring them back through the space is really how that's set up. And then there's a variety of different sizes and types of conferencing, open workstations, as well as some private offices in the City Hall areas. So I know that was a fire hose of information. So any other questions on that, on the plans?
Just a comment on the coffee shops. Yep. And I think it's important to clarify, and maybe everybody understands it. This is not a city run coffee shop. This will be put out for bids for a lease. It's something everybody believes is really nice for this facility, but it's not the city competing with Starbucks, or maybe it is a Starbucks, but it's not the city. My point being, I want people to understand we're not getting in the coffee business.
No.
That's a great point. Also, we've done work with scooters. And so from our previous knowledge of working with them, we were able to incorporate some thinking in there so that it is set up not just for scooters, right, but that it is set up well for a future tenant.
Yep.
So. Okay.
All right.
And,
Wow.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Could you go back to level 2 again? Yeah, level 2. What's that white area on the bottom? I can't read that.
Oh, so this is that 2-story space we were talking about. So it's just open to below for
right
there. Yep.
So it's a 2-story volume that does not have a floor
Yep.
in it, and that's to allow for the taller Children's Museum exhibits.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
So one of the, as we've been working through the entire project, we had set up these project challenges with the entire team. And when I say entire team, that means Rick, Tara, and Karen. Like all of us were, coming up with what should this project be about. In order, when you have to make decisions, you reflect back on these project challenges. And so what you're seeing in front of you is those challenges that we came up with. And so I'm going to go through each one of them as we work through the exterior design. This gives you a little bit of a peer behind the curtain of how architects and designers think when we're trying to design a building in your community. And so first I want to start with just, how do we make a building that fits in Columbus? It can't be anywhere else. It doesn't look like it belongs anywhere else, but it belongs right here and withstands the test of time. So part of that is about durable materials that are easy to maintain, but also, does it look current today, and does it look current 10 years from now? All that's really important so that you don't have a building that becomes dated quite quickly. And so we always start with the context that we're working within, that being the downtown. So you probably familiar with all these buildings. There's lots of government and civic and church and retail spaces. And so just to isolate a few, this is what we started to focus on. And what you'll notice is the downtown is primarily consists of some sort of masonry, whether that's stone, whether that's brick. It's used in a myriad of ways. The other thing is at the street level, there's oftentimes glass. So glass is important for the retail shopping experience to see in, but also when you're inside the facility to be able to see out. And then as you'll notice, this also has an overhang on it, which helps protect the glass from unwanted solar heat gain or sun heat gain, but it also provides cover for people walking to and from each store and to and from a store. So you're getting out of your car and you can go while it's raining. You're not getting rained on as much. So, and then also again, what we've looked at is just what the downtown makeup is. So these blue lines just represent the different repetition. Sometimes the city plat or the block that creates the width of the building. Sometimes it's about the structural system, sometimes about materiality. But really what you should know is, they're using those for very specific reasons. Oftentimes that's to define entry points or large amounts of glass, or that retail experience where you notice that heavier blue line or a blue swatch there, which just really shows like the street presence that these buildings have in downtown. Also, height is really important, or as we would call it, scale and proportion. So again, retail is oftentimes 2 stories. It's meant for people coming in and out, and there's oftentimes retail on the first floor and offices or residences on the second floor. When you get to a government service building like a bank or such, they get a little bit taller, about 1.5 stories, and then a government building oftentimes is about strength and permanence, and but also they're taller because they have more spaces, more program packed into them. And then you get to the Platte County Courthouse, which, as you notice here, is one of the tallest and one of the tallest buildings in your downtown. Again, that's about just, it's anchoring the Frankfurt Square. It's one of the tallest buildings. It's a sign of permanence and strength. And so all these things are important as we start to unpack the design and work through it and explain it. But again, the primary thing we got to remember is we're designing for people. This should be a building that people want to come to. People brag about to the other communities, brag about to their relatives. And so we want to make sure that we're keeping that in mind. So again, how do we create a warm and welcoming environment that it is a source of city pride? So again, just reflecting back on the context, that those entry points, that clear idea of connection back to the streetscape. So what's happening along in our case, 14th, is really important. So again, when we're looking at how we design for people, it's how do we make a building that is 3 stories tall feel more human, more approachable? And so one of the things we've looked at is a building that kind of steps back, like the profile that you see here. So the 2nd story roof sticks out a little bit further than the 2nd floor itself, and the 2nd floor sticks out a little bit further than the 1st floor. That's about creating connection, again, linking back to that retail idea of of glass connecting to the street. Also on the second floor, getting those nicer views, but also being able to be connected with happening at the street level. So again, this is where a building becomes alive when you can have all of those connections happening. So this is a depiction as if you were sitting in the library space, having a cup of coffee, reading your book, and looking out toward 14th Street. So that is the opportunity to have a lot of connection to the street. And a view looking east, so standing underneath those overhangs that we were just talking about, looking back toward the east, or where the new parking lot would be, toward the Children's Museum. So again, this is an area where we've tried to reinforce this idea of the front porch. The idea of a front porch is symbolic, where all are welcome, all belong here, all should come and use this facility. It's also a way to shade and provide outdoor space. So for outdoor learning, we know during the pandemic that outdoor learning has been highly influential in space. And so being able to create that, but it also gives you the opportunity to have outdoor play as well. So as children are here, there's places for them to play. Also, like the plantings and things begin to act as safety devices. So people that don't put their car in park, don't end up driving through your building. So there's just things like that we're trying to be smart about when we're designing. And so a view from Frankfurt Square, that intersection, looking back toward the building, Platte County Courthouse there is off to your left. You can barely see it. And then, the view. Again, you'll see it most frequently with trees in front of it, but we wanted to show it with you without the trees, so you can just understand how the trees begin to soften that. They will change in color. They help shade the building, all those things. So, and provide additional outdoor canopy and shading for the users. So one of the things that we like to do, and one of the is do a show and tell. And so we have created a physical model of your building. And some people respond better to seeing, a three-dimensional model of that building rather than those images I was showing you. And so this is a Iggy Peck architect. It's a book. I'm sure it's on Karen's shelves. Whenever you have to create something, or whenever you have something in mind, you have to create it. You have to build it to show it. And so, that's what we're trying to do here. And so feel free, at any point you want to get up and look at it. But it's a diagrammatic look at what your building will be. It's not going to be all wood as this shows. So, but again, this allows us to just help connect it back to your community, help us understand the design. So again, standing on from the south, this would be in the current City Hall parking lot that's across the street from the library, being able to look at that view. And so I'm going to focus this in on several aspects of the project right now. Again, the front entry. Being able to bring you into the front entry, undercover, get you out of the elements, be able to drop off, family, friends, and allow them to have a covered entry into the building. Again, Children's Museum off to the right, the library off to the left. And then if we stand back at the Frankfurt Square intersection again and start to focus on the lower portion of it, the side porch is where the coffee shop and the public library have an outdoor seating area. So again, you can see the Platte County Courthouse kind of off there in the background. That provides not only an outdoor space for people to use, but also shading for the glass that's on the west side, since it does face west.
Yeah. Like the tables and chairs, will they be fixed or will they be movable, or what your plans there?
Yeah, we would need to work through that, right? Okay. Yeah. Yep. Right now, we're just establishing the budget for the furniture. Yeah, but we'll work through that. And then if we begin to look at the second floor level, which on this end is the children's area of the library. Again, it's facing west. And so we wanted to be able to connect it back to Frankfurt Square and those views, but also protect the building so that we're not from unneeded sun control, or unneeded solar radiation, and which just keeps your utility bills lower. And so we've looked at, again, we haven't designed the interior of this. This is really a concept image of being able to have these playful areas in the children's area that then, they can step up on a platform and have those views back out toward, something that's iconic within your community. Then if we start to look again from the City Hall portion, the parking lot, we look at the community room, and what you'll see is it's a taller space. Now, that is purposeful for many reasons, one of them being the type of events that happen in there. Because it's, a large space, you have to have a taller volume, bigger screens for, audio visuals, because the projector has to be far away so that the people that are sitting in the back row can see. Also, it helps, as we'll show later, connect it to the downtown context that we're designing within. So again, when you're up on that third floor, you can have all these spaces be completely dark, so you can give an AV presentation, but you can also open them up and have views out to the south, across 14th, down to Frankfurt Square. Something else that should be mentioned too, just beyond these, this wall here that my cursor is kind of floating over, is a rooftop terrace. So that could be, again, part of the revenue generation part of that, or also just be a spill out area for, for this community room. It, again, would have great views out toward Frankfurt Square.
You answered my question, because I was going to ask you about that flat area, if that was
It is,
possible.
yeah. It's limited in size just for egress reasons, but it's there. So it's definitely an amenity for this community space. So again, one of the reasons we put the community room up on that third floor. So the overall material palette is quite simple and quite durable. Looking at brick, as we talked about, again, and different values of glass being, clear glass, and sometimes we're using opaque glass. Opaque glass helps us control the sun, but it also is a fun thing. Like if you have a study space right on the other side, on the inside, it actually acts as a whiteboard. So you can draw on it with dry erase markers, and it becomes highly functional there too. So it does a lot of different things for us and does some heavy lifting. Again, we live in a beautiful state that has an infinite horizon and an infinite sky, and we should always consider, that as part of how we're designing, and then also just the context of the existing historic buildings that make Columbus what it is. So, we've quite simply just used materials that are quite familiar, as well as, I won't go into this in detail, but details that are familiar too. So we're looking at different aspects of your downtown and appropriating them to the building. So again, that it can fit in. So one of the things too is we're highly conscious about the amount of glass because, we want to be able to have good views in and out of the building and not make it, a dungeon, but also we don't want it to be a utility, or an operational issue for you. And so one of the things that we've looked at is this becomes diagrammatic. A black and white drawing is on this side of the building, the south and the east. You can see the glass percentages. 50% of the south facade is glass, and that's where the most demanding program that requires glass needs to be. So that's where the library's at, right? Where you can, have those types of spaces. I was just telling the other group an hour ago that, it's about a sticky space. So a sticky space is defined by how do you get people to stick in a space? Those things that make people stick are access to views, access to natural light, and power, right? Because we all have devices today that we want to be able to plug in. So we've been able to do that through access to views and natural light, and the overhangs are doing a lot of work for us. And I'll show you how we're able to confidently say that through some computer simulation that we've done. Just for a reference, the police station, your new police station, there is the glass percentages. So, we're well within kind of what your one of your newest buildings in the city is. So as we come around to the north side, so this is kind of that service access where you can pay your water bill, drop off a book, and get a cup of coffee. And again, 20% on the north, 12% on the west, and then this is relative to your police station. So again, that's just a good visual for you to, because that building's built, so you can kind of see, about how much glass is going to be on this new building. So again, just coming back to these views, again, we're looking at the roof, which provides user impact. So the roof overhangs impacts the way people use it, as well as helps with your utility bills. Glass, even though I went through those, each side of the building has a certain percentage of glass. When you total up the amount of glass for the entire building relative to the amount of surface area, only 27% of the building is glass. So it's a fairly low number, which is actually good, because once we get to 30% or above, there's certain energy codes that start to kick in. And so that's a threshold that we're trying to pay attention to. So that's why we're highly sensitive to the amount of glass as well. And then brick. So the other balance of your building is brick, highly durable, stands the test of time, looks great day 1 to day 20, or year 20, sorry. Yeah, and day 20, yeah. Day 21 is maybe, I don't know. And it helps just connect it back to the downtown place. It's really hard to render brick. So we tried to zoom in and show you, but you can see, the brick right over here on the wall is what we're talking about. So again, trying to connect it to the downtown. So remember, I showed you all the repetition and how those things are important in downtown, how we've begun to use them. Again, the repetitious columns, which create the front porch and kind of define that, as well as the street transparency, which talks about the retail connection and just the connection to people that are at the street is really important. And being able to reinforce that through the front porch, a highly active front porch at that. And then how we define the entry. So again, using that repetition to define an entry point so people know where to go. The building works to show, for wayfinding. So people intuitively know how to enter the building. So again, with that overhead canopy. So again, I talked about why it's important, not only from the way that the community room is being used for those AV views, but also as it begins to relate to the downtown context. So the Platte County Courthouse being one of the tallest buildings. So we're trying to relate the scale of the new building to Platte County Courthouse. But then on the eastern edge of the site, we have the church here. And so that's a much shorter building. So we wanted to be able to tie that back to the context as well. Plus this second floor overhang is the definition, the leading edge of the front porch. So again, just trying to relate it to where we're building. This is not a view you would ever get, but we wanted to show you the how it relates. So you have Platte County Courthouse and the church and your new project, between them. So again, this isn't a view you would ever get, but you can see how it starts to relate. Again, I'll just walk you around the building real quick, and then I'm going to take you into the computer simulations that we were talking about. So again, just that view from the current parking lot across the street from the library, and then from the new parking lot on the east, where you would go, kind of adjacent or through the outdoor play area, this park-like setting, and come into the building. On the right-hand side of the new building is that service lane for, where you can pay your water bill and such. So again, trying to work through all the vehicular circulation and the pedestrian circulation in order to keep them separated so there's no conflict there. So again, when we talked about the third and final goal, how do you make it safe and secure and natural light and views to the outside? There's all sorts of research out there that people learn better, they pay attention better when they have views to the natural light and to the exterior. And so again, as we're we're thinking about this is just, the sun diagram as it moves around the building. And as I said, we rarely want to just be able to say, well, we think this is going to work. We want to simulate it, and we have the ability to do that. And so we've been able to look at daylight, glare, and access to views. So anything that is trending toward the red means that we have more and more daylight. So obviously when you have more and more daylight, that can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. You can get a lot of glare. But the good thing about it is you actually have views to the outside and are connected that way. So what we wanted to do is be able to mitigate that glare. So anything that's in closer to green is really good. It means it's not overlit. That means you can sit at the window, work on your laptop, and not have any glare on your screen. So again, when we're talking about sticky spaces and to get people to use those, this is really important. So our computer simulation shows that we're 10% or under an overlit, which is a really high quality space. But then just for our own reference, we took away the overhang to see what that did. And you can begin to see how just like a radar, the darker the color, the worse it is. Okay. And so with no overhang, those spaces you'll be hot sitting right at the glass. You won't want to sit there because you have glare. So we've been able to fine tune our design using this computer simulations. So again, this front porch is intentionally designed not only for user impact and user and human comfort, but also for your utility bills. Again, we're talking about views. So the building being viewed from inside and from outside. Again, we can simulate that with quality of views. So anything with a darker blue means that you get better access to views, which is usually a correlation to the amount of glass that you have. So again, by using that overhang, we can have glass in very strategic places to give you those views. So you can tell how much glass has been a topic of discussion because it is so critical to usability, but also to how you operate your building. We don't want crazy high utility bills. So again, reinforcing that view sitting from, in the library, looking out the front porch, or on that third floor, looking out across Frankfurt Square. So again, those are how we've begun to design the building. And to leave you with one view, just a nighttime rendering. When we presented this the first time, it was actually raining, so it felt right. But it adds that dramatic effect. But what you can see is the building will come to life even at night by glowing and being something that feels safe and secure, but looks like it belongs downtown as well.
So will the frontage sidewalk area be designed to accommodate unloading of passengers and traffic? And then do we go in one entrance and then go left for the library, right for the children's? I mean, is there one common entrance?
That's a great question. Yes, there is a defined entry drop-off zone at the street that then you would come into one primary entry. You would literally go left to go to the library or go right, and the other right to go into the Children's Museum. The other thing that should be reinforced is you can go into that front porch interior area and go up to the third floor to the community room, to City Hall. So that front porch is connecting everybody. So again,
and you could walk back and pay your water bill from that.
Walk back and pay your water bill. You can walk back and drop your book off. And the other thing is everything else can be locked down around it. And you have Columbus Days on Frankfurt Square. The front doors can be open, and now you have access to restroom facilities. But nobody can get anywhere else within the building. So we've really tried, Rick and Tara and Karen have really been guiding that to make it multifunctional.
You answered my question about getting to the third floor.
Yep.
Citizen comes in and says, okay, I need to go to City Hall. Okay.
Yep.
What's the best way to go?
Yep. So there will be, and this is our next step, is to start working on the interior design, but there's a really grand stair if you want to take the stair 3 stories, or the elevator is just right there next to the stair and you can go up. So And then it's a left to the community room or a right to the city hall. So pretty simple. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned utilities. How will this building be heated? All electric or is it gas?
Yeah.
Gas heated?
Yeah. Matt, you want to answer?
So right now we have gas for heating for rooftop units. So trying to be most cost efficient we can with the utilities available here. So,
All right. I just wanted, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, John.
You alluded to being able to see the brick that's going to be used. Have you got a panel over here at Boyd Jones thing? Is that what you were alluding to?
Not yet. No, we haven't actually selected the actual brick. We're just saying brick right now.
When you do that, how do you decide what color you're going to use?
So we'll go back to surveying the downtown and looking at, the bricks, the brick blends, all of that, and we'll most likely choose from what we see in this area. So
I was really involved in the building of the hospital out there about 20 years ago now.
mm-hmm.
And that was a very controversial thing. What color do you make this hospital?
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people that wanted to use a dark red brick because hospitals were all dark red brick and
Sure.
no windows and things like that. Well, you really don't want to be going to the hospital in the first place. And when you see this
Right.
place. So to make a long story short, we ended up with a lighter colored brick. This was a prairie style architecture, Frank
Okay.
Lloyd Wright.
Yeah, sure.
And it's worked out very nicely, but it didn't, well, there wasn't anything there to begin with. And so everything else that's come in has kind of had to, play off of that style and color as
Right.
opposed to them playing off of something else. But it was different, but it was different good.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, that'll be a bit down the road, but yeah, there's lots of different brick colors to choose from, and we'll work to choose just the right one.
Can you give me a quick synopsis of what the next steps are and deadlines? When are you going to have plans ready? When do we go out for bids? What kind of a timeline do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to let Matt answer that. He's all over the schedule. So,
That's fine. Thank
yep.
you.
I'm feeling better about the city hall being upstairs on the third floor.
Yeah. So next steps we have, we're producing it's foundations and primary steel. So steel package. So we're kind of getting the bones together, and that'll be going out to bid here in mid-May. So it's happening pretty fast. We have actually, I believe construction is going to actually start happening out there, I believe tomorrow. Rick is here. Or
I might step in just for a minute, and the council may not have seen this because it came out about 3:30 or 4 o'clock, but the city put out a press release this afternoon to highlight the closure of the streets that will start to take place next Monday for the construction with the fencing off.
Yep.
So that's all just come out this afternoon. 25th Avenue from 14th Street north to the alley will be permanently closed. The north lane of 14th Street, 25th to 26th Avenue will be closed during the duration. The alley between 24th and 25th Avenue will be restricted with partial full closures at times. 26th Avenue will remain two-way traffic with a slight center lane shift for the duration of the project. And the public parking lot located in the southwest corner will be closed. This will become all construction area. And that all takes effect a week from today. And it was released this afternoon. So we'll be in the paper, on our website, so on and so forth. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
And I think just real high level, the schedule is, we have an early package that's going to come out, which helps move the design and construction along. And that comes out in May. And then our final drawings go out at the end of the summer.
Yep.
And then the building will open in the spring of 2023. So as you can tell, there's going to be activity that's going to start to happen on and around the site in order to facilitate that.
Council members, are there any more questions, comments? Gentlemen, we thank you for your time. Your presentation was excellent, and we appreciate all the work you've done for our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a lot of fun. So
Looks good.
Good.
thank
Yeah.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And with that, this meeting is adjourned.